Happy, how many days till Christmas? 14 days till Christmas. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, right? Yeah, 2 weeks from today will be Christmas. So, and of course, we started Hanukkah already. So, welcome to the show. If you're here, you've landed on the rambling thoughts of Leticia Remauro at Let's Talk News. Yeah, gee, 14 days. That's I love Christmas. I don't know about you guys, but I love this time of year. I love this season. I love Hanukkah. I love celebrating with my friends and going to all kinds of parties, or sometimes just being alone in the house. How many people do this? Being alone in the house in your pajamas with some hot chocolate, watching ridiculous Christmas movies. Let me know if you're one of those. I could celebrate Christmas all alone, but I like to do it with other people. As a matter of fact, we just invite everybody to Christmas. Hello, Francine. Good to have you here. Hello, Professor. Good to have you. Yeah, so Christmas is my favorite time of year, but today is not a day. Today was a pretty bad day for Republicans, namely the chief Republican, Donald Trump. And I just wonder sometimes, I wonder if he, how he takes days like this, because a whole bunch of crap has happened, right? Number one, I don't know if you know, that Miami, who hasn't had a Democrat mayor in 30 years, elected a Democrat mayor by 20 points. And Trump, of course, endorsed the other, her opponent by 20 points. That's tough. Start my Christmas music day after Halloween. Okay, so you're like me. I wasn't always so quick on Christmas. I think that as I got older, yes, because I realized how fleeting the days were till Christmas. But also because I have more time on my hands now, right? If you don't have to raise kids and run after little ones and things like that, you wind up having more time and you can devote a little bit more time to the season. Hello, Colleen. Good to have you. Thank you for coming back. I got your text about the Somalian flag, the Minnesota flag changing to the Somalian flag. And I feel like, I don't know if you checked it with AI, but I feel like I've seen that before. So, and I don't know if it was AI then, and I don't know if it is now, but yeah, very disturbing in Miami. But, and then we have Tish James. They didn't indict her again. Mama told me there will be days like this. Oh, yeah. Well, let's just hear quickly from the Miami mayor-elect. So we got Mamdani in New York and Higgins in Miami. Oh, well.
First time in almost 30 years, Miami has chosen a Democrat to serve as mayor. Eileen Higgins beat out Republican.
They were used to a government that had a history of corruption and disruption, and it was more like a reality TV show than a place that worked for them. And then you have the combination of the sad politics of trickle-down hatred that is menacing our immigrant population, and they were ready for change.
Christian Benavides joins me now from West Palm Beach, Florida. Christian, we heard a little bit there from the mayor-elect talking to our colleague Major Garrett on the takeout. Can you tell us a little bit more about what was driving voters this election?
Lindsay, well, what's driving voters in Miami is the same thing that's driving voters everywhere, and that's affordability. But the two candidates here, Eileen Higgins and the Republican Emilio, they did not differ much in their platform. However, where they did differ was on immigration. And that is why the Democrats and Higgins believe that this entire election was a referendum. In part, she is right that there was a lot of corruption in the city of Miami politics. But I mean, this was a decisive victory by the Democrats. You had a 20-point victory in a place where they hadn't won in 30 years. So what they believe clinched it for them was the immigration, the aspect of immigration, and her stance on immigration. We also know from what Higgins has said and from what national Democrats have said is that they believe that what happened here, they see it as something that could potentially help them in the midterms reclaim win three Republican-held districts in South Florida and turn them into democratically held districts.
So this is in Trump's hometown, right? They were talking about putting the Trump Library in Miami. And it's very interesting that an election in December, where the Republicans are the majority, turned out this way. Now, I'm shocked to hear that immigration is a big deal in Miami, because the Cubans who are basically, and Higgins, I mean, look, she's a lily white, liberal woman, and she took down the Cuban that was running there. So something doesn't add up, and I'm going to look into it a little bit, but I mean, it's just a little weird. Hello, Kevin. Good to have you. I saw that voter registration is very low in Miami compared to overall population. Yeah, but it's come out heavily Republican before, Colleen. I do know that there was a problem with corruption in the past, and that might have been the linchpin. Or it could have been that nobody was really working hard. I just don't know. I didn't even know what was going on down there, and I have a place an hour away. Hi, Lucille. Good to have you. Cubans are leaving Miami because Venezuelans are coming in and they don't like each other. Well, there you go. Thanks for that little tidbit of information. And that could have a lot to do with what happened, right? Trump, with these boats that he's been taking out, could be. So maybe the Cubans vote red and Venezuelans blue. Oh, the Venezuelans are voting blue, 100%. Hi, I thought that was weird too in Miami, but that's the most transient part of Florida. Yes, it is the very transient part of Florida. So, everybody's saying that it points to a problem in the midterms, and it may well. I think right now we still have a perception problem. And of course, the media has a lot to do with it. When you only have two stations that are actually speaking about what's really happening, which is with the economy, starting to pick up, and, Trump getting people deported and all that stuff, and the rest focused on this immigration stuff, you're going to have people believing that we have another problem. And because the American, and I don't know if it's just American, but it seems like it seems like our attention span is about 6 minutes, or 6 seconds rather. So, we're getting our news in sound bites, and we're not getting the message out. We Republicans aren't. But you'd think Venezuelans would vote red after escaping socialism. Yeah, well, you would think the Cubans would too, right? You would think that anybody who escaped socialism would do it, but they don't. I listen to talk radio too, better than cable sometimes. Yeah, that's true. Very true. Well, speaking about the immigration situation, this happened today.
Federal judge has ordered Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who was deported to El Salvador in March, to be immediately released from ICE custody. U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnes says Abrego Garcia has been held, quote, without lawful authority. The 30-year-old was brought back to the U.S. in June. He was then charged with human smuggling, to which he has pleaded not guilty. Abrego Garcia is currently being held in a detention facility in Pennsylvania. Spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security says the order lacks, quote, any valid legal basis, and the administration will continue to fight it in the courts. The Justice Department declined to comment. I want to bring in CBS News Department of Justice reporter.
Well, basically what he said, and I'll finish that up, I cut it too quick, is that there was, according to a whistleblower inside Homeland Security, a holdover from Biden, there was no deportation order, no current good deportation order. And we know that that's not true because we know that there are deportation orders. So there's a little mix up there in information. We heard the reports early on that there was 2 deportation orders before, but not to his home country, El Salvador. But that's exactly where Trump sent him. So I'm not sure. I can't believe that the Trump administration is screwing this up. I have to believe that there is some nefarious shit happening with holdovers from Biden. But you never know. You never know. I mean, he specifically couldn't go to El Salvador. That's why he was still here. And then he was sent to El Salvador. Whose idea was that? How could that bullshit happen? A problem with the phone is coming into a country is they don't want to assimilate. They just want the benefit. Oh, listen, and there's plenty of propaganda. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, that there people, or maybe the last week, earlier this week, people aren't coming here because they love America anymore. People are coming here now to get shit, and to send it back to their country. And that's a big problem. And we have no pride anymore. Americans, we're apologists now. We're not proud Americans. I'm having an argument still with, I think I put it up the other day, that guy from Somalia, who lives in London, by the way, who's carrying on about America, being terrible and all this stuff. And we need to, America has to get out of Somalia. And, so I told him, well, if Somalia was so great, why'd you leave? Yes, I understood what you were saying. And, he didn't have an answer for that. But the reason why is because he's not real. He's a bot, and or he's paid to promote propaganda against America. We saw it with the Palestinian situation. We saw those fake AI video clips. We saw all the propaganda that was pumped into here from the Palestinians, and now it's happening in Somalia too. So you're going to start seeing a shitload of crap from the Somalis and from the Venezuelans being pumped into our social media, and we have to be ready for it. Let's make Hats get the fuck out of here. I don't know who Hats is. Al Capone always said, sometimes you must play defeated in order to defeat the players. Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Here's the big problem. Al Capone lived in a time when we didn't have instantaneous information, right? Communication wasn't as vast and wide as it is now. It was harder to get propaganda out there, Professor. Today, things are instantaneous. Information is instantaneous, and things could be propagandized. And we know that the big news stations are coordinating. So I don't know about that. I think that Trump is having a bad week. And the reason that he's having a bad week is very simple, because he gets shit done. He's got so many balls in the air that eventually they're going to have to start falling. So that's why. That's why it is a bad week. We need to acknowledge it. And I've been saying this since he's been elected. He needs to stop giving so much access to reporters. He has to stop. I don't mean don't do any press conferences. I mean, you don't do one every day, because it's like a reality TV show now. I mean, and they twist everything he says. Let's make Hats like MAGA saying, get the fuck out of here. Oh, see what you're saying. Yes, Trump gets shit done and he needs to back off. I think that he needs to focus on the things that got him elected. And I know you're watching President Trump. You might not be watching now, but I know you watch in the middle of the night. So let me just give you a little advice, because I've been president before, obviously. Just from a PR standpoint and from a Republican operative, you were elected to concentrate on the economy, to bring down the price of gas and oil, to get jobs created, and to be the moral compass and the moral center of America. You were hired to close the borders, and you were not hired to talk about Joe Biden every 15 minutes. We don't care about Joe Biden. We didn't vote for Joe Biden. I don't even think anybody voted for Joe Biden in 2020, but that's another story. But we voted for you. And what we want to see from you is for you to get those things done. And you can get those things done, but you can't get them all done at once. As far as, and I know that Colleen and some others will argue with me that he needs to start prosecuting these people, Tish James, James Comey, all these Democrats that did us Republicans wrong. But I disagree, because that takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of focus. And we don't have that kind of time. We don't have that kind of time. So these are the kinds of losses that are going to be magnified, and there's going to be flashing lights all around them. But like Abrego Garcia, should he have been taken out? Yes. But how the hell did he wind up in El Salvador? Because I guarantee you that it was a Biden fucking operative that sent him there, even though just to embarrass Trump. And now we keep going. And same thing with Tish James. Did I play the Tish James clip? No, probably not. Watch. This is...
First you don't succeed, try again. Often a good axiom for life, but is it a good axiom in this case?
Right. Perseverance, I guess, can be a virtue in some instances, but I would argue no here. So believe it or not, DOJ technically is allowed to try yet again. You can continually try to indict a person. You can go to one grand jury after another. That said, for all realistic and practical purposes, someone needs to get it through the Justice Department's head. This is over. We have never, I can point to no case in the last 20 years where you've had a case thrown out by a judge, then you had a grand jury refuse to indict it, which is very hard to do. Then you had a second grand jury a week later refuse to re-indict it. This is an embarrassment for DOJ. The writing could not be any clearer on the wall. This case is simply not going to happen. One of the lessons that you learn as a prosecutor is you have to pick your battles and you have to know when to cut your losses. That time has come for DOJ on this case.
What are we doing? I get it. I know why. I get it. But I would rather go for the big fish, because where Tish is and where she's going to have the hearings in the grand jury, it's too anti-Trump to get an indictment. It's so anti-Trump that they indicted him. I think it's bad. I think we need to back off. I think these are not things that we should be spending time on. I don't care about Tish James, but I want some people prosecuted for treason for the whole Russia hoax. Yeah, I get it that we want that, but we need to fix the economy first. Yes, he can walk and chew gum at the same time, but how many items on the agenda can you do at once, especially when you have, and we talked about it last night, your people are not being, your people are not being blue slipped. They're not being appointed. It's a problem. It's a real problem. He needs to back off of some of this stuff. I'm sorry. We need to, how about prosecuting all the sex traffickers? How about prosecuting the people who molest children? Those are things that I can get behind. Prosecute these illegal migrants that are doing the wrong thing here. Yes, got it. I love the idea that he cleaned up DC, but sending, the National Guard to places that are not being asked for is just giving fodder to the Democrats. Is it cleaning up the city? Yes, but at the end of the day, are those people going to vote Republican? No fucking way. No fucking way. They're just not. I mean, your own people didn't vote Republican in Miami. You got to understand the American psyche. And you better than anybody, Trump. You better than anybody. Trump hasn't lost this week at all. Okay, we got a different point of view. Even the federal union vote was choreographed. Let me see. It's a big one. We just jacked millions in oil, and Maduro's response was to be the Latin Joy Behar. Give me a break. Okay, yes, we jacked millions in oil, but the media spin on this and the messaging out to the people that pulled the lever in the polls, not great. Not great. How do we lose Miami, Rich? How do we lose Miami? Cuban haven, Hispanic haven, and they elect an Elaine Higgins, Democrat, female white Karen, instead of electing a Cuban Republican. Tell me how that happened. I get where you're coming from, and you're a man, and you're a man's man, and you're a no-nonsense man, very much like Trump. But I'm sorry, I think that there needs to be a middle ground in this one. I love that what he's doing with Maduro. I love that. That's important because it's keeping America's borders safe, and that's what he was elected to do. As far as the oil, I mean, maybe he's going to give it to Europe. That would be good if he gave it to Europe. That would be really good if he gave it to Europe. I agree they need to just expose and prove the crime was committed. Too much corruption in the whole establishment. Yeah. And J6 in 2020 election. Yeah, I get it. But Colleen, then we'll be focusing, everything will be focused on that because you can't do both. You can't prosecute criminal, illegal migrants and all these other people. You can't. He doesn't have the judges. He doesn't have the appointments. He doesn't have the time. By the time all these things come to court, I mean, we're talking about the Charlie Kirk guy, what's his face, was on trial today. And we're not even going to see a trial till February. So how's all that going to happen? I don't see it. I just don't see it. I'll wait until his third or fourth year, as long as it gets done. And 100% the sex traffickers. Okay, listen, here's the thing. His third or fourth year will be nothing but impeachment if he doesn't get the midterm elections. Do you understand? He will be impotent in his third and fourth term if there are Democrats in Congress, if the Democrats have Congress and Senate. He'll be impotent. Is all they'll be doing is saying impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. That's all we will hear. He will have nothing. Tish should be indicted in the NDNY? What's NDNY? North Dakota? New York? New Jersey, New York. Bottom line, ED Virginia and EDNY full of comedy. Hack judges. Exactly. 100%. So, all right. Oh, she should be indicted. But is in New York also the same thing? So I don't understand. I mean, all these places where they can try get a grand jury. I don't see why New York would indict her. Maybe help us out. I heard Pam Bondi is buddies with Jeb Bush. Oh no, I can't. I don't think she's undermining Trump. When delegation is done effectively, more can be done, not less. Well, you're right about that, and we know he has a hard time with delegation. Oil was transferred from Soviet tankers into Venezuelan tankers in Kuwait in the 1970s and 80s. Yes, and we talked about that a little bit last night. So yeah, it's. I mean, look, I love the fact that he hijacked the tankers. Why not? Why not? Every other country does it. Why can't we? And I heard one of the CNN people say, "Oh, we don't want to start with Maduro because he's nuts." Well, so is Trump. I mean, I love that he has that personality. Okay, and here's the one. This is the one that I'm just going to be spitting nails when I go to bed tonight. Fucking Indiana. What the hell? What? I mean, they were trying to cover their asses, but they don't realize that they just fucked themselves. Watch.
Republicans reluctant to redrawing these congressional maps mid-decade. But did anyone really expect a vote total like this, or a resounding rejection against President Trump?
Jake, they did not. Certainly the White House and the president's allies did not. Even Indiana Republicans are somewhat surprised by the margin. But again, 21 Republicans voting with Democrats to reject this push by the White House. This, without question, as we near the end of the year here, is the biggest rebuke that President Trump has taken, politically speaking, in ruby red Indiana. Of course, he's still popular there. There's no question if he ran again, he would win there. But this is a sign that everyone, all Republicans, are not going to follow lockstep what he does. And Jake, I was watching the debate this afternoon. It was about 3 hours of debate. And it was extraordinary, actually, for all the national implications of this. This was actually very much a local debate. And what the White House was asking Indiana to do was redraw these districts that were effectively going to take away representation from some parts of the state and lump them into larger districts. There were concerns from rural senators, from some urban senators as well, specific concerns about the economy in northern Indiana. Would they be represented? So at the end of the day, when you watch this debate, it was much more about local issues. But of course, President Trump was trying to make the case that he needed these 2 seats. Of course, this is part of this extraordinary state by state redistricting plan that the president himself engineered several months ago to try and keep control of the House next year. Now, not having these 2 seats makes it more difficult. But the bottom line, a huge political rebuke for President Trump.
A huge political rebuke for President Trump. That's what we're going to hear over and over going into the weekend. So it's going to be on all the weekend news channels and Sunday too. And that's going to matter. It's going to matter. And sweetie, Colleen, I know you're not arguing with me. I'm just cranky. I get aggravated that we Republicans, or MAGA, not just Republicans, because Republicans doesn't cut it anymore, i.e. Indiana, we just don't get it. We just don't get it. And this is a game of strategy, and it's moving it's like Jenga, right? You can't take all the blocks at the same time. You got to know which blocks will work and which blocks won't work. If Trump doesn't keep Congress and Senate, he's going to be impeached. Doesn't matter. He didn't do anything wrong. He's going to be impeached. That's the political play for the Democrats, okay? That's how they then set him up for the felony counts and everything else and to go to jail, and because of what he knows, why ever they're going to do it. And he's going to spend 2 years defending impeachment and not getting things done, because why would they let him get anything done? They don't want that agenda done. If Trump gets stuff done and he wins the midterms, then even if he doesn't have time to prosecute all these people we want to see prosecuted, you know what will happen? There'll be another Republican behind him, and that person can prosecute. And that's what we need to do. We need to set up this chessboard for the long play, because the Democrats do that. And the fact that they just stole Miami out from under us just really pisses me off. It really, really does. Because I worry that we rest on our laurels, and I've seen it happen in the Republican Party in New York. I mean, look at what they've done to themselves in New York. And, and here I was, rah, Miss Republican, and I was told many times, mind my own business, leave it alone. No, we don't need people at headquarters. No, we don't need to do stuff. No, we don't need door knocking. No, we've got money. We don't have to do those things. No. Campaigns are won on handshakes and door knocks, even in 2025. As Republicans, we need to be able to get out there. And unfortunately, too, the youngsters don't understand that they need to put in the hard work before they get elected. If you take a look at what's happening now on both parties, both the Republican and the Democrat parties, young people are getting elected to office so that they can build their social media rather than actually do work. Look at AOC. Has she done one fucking thing? Has Ilhan Omar? Has Rashida Tlaib? Has any of them passed one bill? Not one. Not one. All right, so I love you all. Bad fucking week, in my opinion. We need to regroup and reconnoiter and get this shit done, because we need to win in 2026, and we need to make sure that this economy is doing well. So President Trump, I'm behind you 1,000,000%. Let's get that economy going. Let's get people feeling better for Christmas. And I'll be your number one door knocker in 2026. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I will see you on Sunday.